start to the bottom left of the map. Here we have LabyRinth and his opponent with a 1-0 lead in this series at the top right is, of course, HyuN playing for Team Quantic. And whoever advances to the third round will have a very tough opponent, because the two players that are competing for the second spot in the third round of Code A in this part of the bracket are Sniper and Maru, which also means that we could have a rematch of the GSL Season 5 final,
yes,
where Sniper took the title over HyuN.
That was such a great finals. Really enjoyed watching that. And yeah, that would be such a great rematch to see. It's very possible. Let's see if LabyRinth has a macro game plan, because so far in Code A, he hasn't shown us a single one yet. Last game, he went for aggression. Not to say that the 2 barracks opening doesn't allow you to go into a macro game, but he was so behind them, we just didn't get to see that from him. There was no opportunity. It looks like he is going to put a barracks at least in his wall. Yeah. So maybe, just maybe, we see a late game from him.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to go for a double 11 again, and HyuN is already scouting. He sends the drone out and wants to know what's happening here. Doesn't scout the spot to the bottom right, the right side of the map, where you usually place down your third base, where we sometimes see forward barracks, but he still will be able to determine if there's going to be a proxy play with the units in the set.
And his Overlord kind of covers where the SCV would walk to go and do that anyways, so he probably would have seen the SCV with his Overlord if that was happening.
And this drone is of course going to spot if there's a barracks or not. Sees now, okay, main base barracks, normal timing, and no gas, everything is normal.
That's probably a little bit surprising. Oh, okay, you're going to try to expand this game early. But HyuN responds by going gas before pool, just being a little bit greedy here because he can. And this may lend itself into aggression. I would not be surprised if HyuN responds with roach pressure because he's up a game. He's really good at his micro with these types of aggression. And he's known for aggression as well.
Yeah. Roach pressure is something that HyuN has shown for a long time. He was one of those players who relied on roach bailings for quite a few weeks. And also just poking with the roaches can do a lot of damage. If you attack with 9 roaches, 7 roaches, whatever floats your boat, that's going to be very dangerous to a Terran player who's not prepared, who doesn't deal with it, doesn't have a bunker up, doesn't have any marauders queued up or siege tanks in production.
Yeah. Double gas goes down in the main for LabyRinth. He's tanking immediately.
Could go into a Banshee as well. The Banshee also helps out quite a bit against the roaches.
Yeah, we've seen the Banshees come out into play. We've seen Marauders try to help defend as well in desperation when you see those roaches. He sees how much gas is being mined, which in this case is just over 100. He starts serving the speed. The SCV can see this as well. But he has 1 guy in gas, and as soon as the Queens are out, the SCV is going to have to leave. He could put back in at any moment.
Yeah, that's the question. What happens when the SCV is gone? Because when there's this SCV scouting your main base, you're always a little bit reluctant to reveal exactly what you're going to do. And mind games are very important in StarCraft 2 now at the state of the game that we're in, at the end of Wings of Liberty. But the SCV is now being chased away, and so far HyuN did not put back into gas. He's still mining with 1 drone, but his speed is going to help him already a lot. And for LabyRinth, this is a little bit uncomfortable. With the speed upgrade, suddenly you know that your Hellions, if they go on creep, will have a problem dealing with them. You also know that there might be a chance that your opponent is going for a bailing attack. We've seen this being played by True.
Yes.
True against Hack.
That was a pretty good series to watch. You know, a lot of weird play in that series, but
especially Daybreak.
There was a lot of, it was weird, but there was a lot of really true things in that series to point out about playing and improving, I think. It was a good series to watch. He puts back in gas, by the way, and we are going to see something. It could be even layer and going to 2-base meters. He's making 7 more drones to put on 34, so that's about how many you want if you want to start a Roach Warren.
But usually you do that without the speed at this time. Yeah. You have different timings for the gas, so he can still go for a roach attack, but it would be a little bit weird to see him go for exactly, yeah, there we have it.
It makes more sense. I think he's going to go 2-base Muta. We have seen Infest on this map, but HyuN is more the Muta guy. We've seen 1-base Infest on this map from Enoch.
Triple gas right away.
Then he's obviously going to start spreading creep now that he's got more of them. He kills the neutral depot as well. I like these openings. You know, 2-base Muta was almost never seen a year ago, but now it's a quite popular build.
Cloak is not going to help LabyRinth too much against this fast of a lair tag. At 7 minutes, lair is more than halfway done, is nearly completed, so Overseers will be available to hunt.
Yeah, he cancels Cloak even. He realized that he's like, wait a minute, this is going to be good.
Did he drop a scam?
I will actually verify that for you. No.
Alright, so he just decides to, well, I think he wanted to fake it a little bit. We probably had an Overseer in the main base, but yeah, Cloak cancel makes sense here. Infestation Pit is the tech of choice as HyuN decides to not play it on 2 base, but goes straight into a 3rd. So with the Infestation Pit, he will have Infestors to make sure that the 3rd base is safe.
Yeah. I'm a little bit surprised he goes for Infestors, but it's the safer choice. Starport actually misplaced here. Could have put it on the reactor. It was probably intended to. Just make a Viking first.
On Daybreak, we usually see more of a late game scenario in Terran versus Zerg if one of those guys doesn't go for the timing attack immediately. So the Infestors here will help HyuN to just survive the early stages of the mid game and then transition into a late game composition. The 3rd base for him being up, it helps. The Hellions are trying to do a bit of damage, but now the situation occurred where we have Zerglings with speed on creep. That's something that you're very uncomfortable dealing with if you're a Terran player. Lost a few of his Hellions, but not too many.
Should be able to push this back and save the hatchery really easily. By the way, color, I think we're going to see Mac, given that as 3rd CC, he's not using his barracks all, there's an armory down, and he didn't misplace that Starport. In fact, he wants to go into Reactor Hellions off the double factory, so he's not going to medevacs. And this is going to be interesting to see HyuN deal with the mech of a really unique playstyle in Terran. We saw him last game go mech, but he was a little bit behind, obviously. He didn't really get to flesh his mech style, but this time, he's starting things off the right way. We'll see how he kind of goes through the mid-game here.
Considering that HyuN doesn't have a Roach Warren just yet, he needs to get the scouting information to deal with this, but he at least has the Infestors now out. And we also have him with the macro hatch, but he can even... He's saturating his 3rd base now. He's hitting the
really
gas
nicely.
at the 3rd, is making sure that he has the right drone count. But the Infestors alone, they help him. The problem for him really is that he has a lack of scouting information.
Yeah, he doesn't know, and if you're up against this composition, you absolutely have to have the Roach Warren. And this is something he's going to find out very soon, but LabyRinth so far keeping this hidden is putting HyuN a little bit in a danger zone. He's going to actually move out with these Investors, do a little bit of action, probably going to go check the 3rd base.
The upgrades, this is one thing that is quite awesome if you are up against this composition, if you're a Zerg player. No matter what kind of upgrades you get, it will lend itself to a certain advantage to you. If you go for the range attack upgrade, then you have something to help your roaches out. But if you go for the melee upgrade, then you are still good if you transition into shots later. So that definitely helps you.
Now HyuN knows the composition he's facing. He's still going to send these Infestors in. He may try to use them, in fact, at the back. Hellions go down the middle of the map, so he loses those without controlling them. Here come the Infestors. The turret is barely going to be ready for the 2nd wave of Infestors. In fact, he may catch the 1st one because there's a wall. Oh, wow. 1 hit point left on that Infestor. He drops a ton of Infestor Terrans here.
The Infestor Terrans are there, and this is, for now, GG for the bunker. Yeah. And also for a few of those SCVs.
Scan and kill the Infestors. He knew where they were, but he still didn't scan and kill them. Now there's an Infestor in the main base. If I'm not mistaken, where did he go? He must have actually lost him to a scan there. That may be why he didn't scan the other ones, but more SCVs going down at the 3rd.
Zerglings at the 3rd base, taking down SCVs to the left side of the map. Left, yep. That was really successful. How many did he kill in total? 12.
As much as you might think, it was still a good trade, considering he didn't lose all of his Infestors.
No, we have 87 now against 48, so that puts HyuN in a really decent spot, especially since LabyRinth now had to drop a few scans and couldn't use them for mules. You can really see the worker supply heavily in favor of HyuN.
This gives him
also
some time.
at his Roach Warren now.
He gets now the time to get the Roach Warren up, switch his upgrades out a little bit. Like you said, the +1 in melee is still going to be useful for Broodlords later, but he wants to get the Roaches out as soon as possible and get those upgrades up.
Okay, I actually thought we had the Infestor still in the main base, but it's actually
Overlord he got taken out.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He's kept the rest of his Infestors alive. He's keeping his Infestor count decently high, now going up to 12. Probably doesn't want to make much more than that, considering that the upgrades don't affect the Infested Terrans anymore.
We have 4 bases. And the 5th base even being built for HyuN now.
He has total map control here. I don't blame him for making these choices. He's going to go for another attack with Infested Terrans. and trade energy for units.
The only thing that I'm a little bit surprised is that he doesn't go into Hive.
Why is there no turret here? That's another thing I'm really surprised by. There's no turret for LabyRinth at all. He knows this is a possibility. He's going to lose half of his whole army, and the only thing that HyuN is going to lose is energy. He doesn't lose a single investor. He gets away. He's killing depots. SCVs are going down. He kills siege tanks, and LabyRinth is falling further and further behind in this game.
He's down to 100 supply against 170, and I would still like to see the Hive take for HyuN, but just as a precaution for the late game.
Yeah, I'm absolutely in
But he still has such a huge lead with the +2 armor upgrade now coming up for his unit. The speed for the roaches will soon be done, and he's going into +1 attack. 5 bases as soon as the one at the bottom right is completed, so he is dominating this game.
He's nearing max. He has such a bank already forming here. So early on, before the 15-minute mark, he's starting to build that bank.
He's getting so many overseers. I actually think that we are going to see Contaminate on the factories.
It would really make sense. He drops a few changelings instead. Just getting vision of everything that LabyRinth is doing. The Hellions
There's
here.
the Contaminate in the main base.
Yeah.
And nicely done. There come the roaches, so he's trying to end it now. Moving in before the upgrades are done.
I think he may just be able to end this game.
The siege tanks are just not in the position where you want them to be. He's guarding the third, whereas HyuN is attacking the natural.
He just doesn't have enough of them. I mean, he's got to spread them out because he doesn't know the angle HyuN's going to go for. And HyuN decides to go in the weakest part. Obviously, he's going to find the weakness with his changelings, with his roach aggression. Now wants to target down the siege tanks at third.
HyuN still has a massive bank. 2,000 minerals, nearly 1,000 gas that he
Upgrades
can
are
use.
finishing as well here.
Here's the lava too, so it's not like he's slacking off with his macro.
The Vikings are there because he expected that Hive transition a little bit faster, but unfortunately they're not going to be useful in this case.
Yeah, we don't have a Hive just yet for HyuN. He's at 150 supply. He's actually not rebuilding his army. There we go, 22 additional roaches, and now the +2 armor upgrade is also available to him.
I think that LabyRinth is just going to GG here because he doesn't have enough units to hold the pressure. The siege tank in the main falls. There it is, GG.
GG and game over. HyuN takes this match with a 2-0.
Pretty one-sided series, I have to say. HyuN really outclassing his opponent here. And we talked about it earlier. He said he thought first would be the much better opponent for him to face, so he's really happy he got to face LabyRinth. He prepared well, he's been practicing hard, and it really shows. It really, really shows.
Yeah. So that's it for the Zerg versus Terran. HyuN advances to the third round. Is either gonna face Maru or Sniper. We're gonna find out later today who is going to be the second player in the third round of Code A in this specific bracket.
Yeah, we have our second Terran versus Terran, Trust versus Yoda coming up. It's our second out of 3. We have Flash playing in our evening session. Get the word out on that. That's going to be pretty exciting coming up a little bit later. But let's take a look at our maps for Trust versus Yoda. This is going to be a Terran versus Terran where...
Protoss versus Terran.
No, Trust is a Protoss player?
Yeah.
Ah, that's right. I think I was confusing him with... No, not even true. There's too many new IDs. Yeah.
There are a lot of them.
I'm mistaken, guys. I thought we were going to see a Terran versus Terran, but Trust is, in fact, Protoss. Yeah, this is embarrassing. Let's put up the maps. And I'll take a look at what maps we're playing on, at least, and say some smart things about those.
Cloud Kingdom is going to be the first one, but let's have a quick look at map number 2 and number 3. Here we go. Achillan Flats and Icarus. Trust for CJ Antus and Yoda, of course, for LGIM.
If I had seen his face, I would have been able to tell that he's a Protoss. I recognize that face a lot.
Is that a Protoss face?
No, not a Protoss face. Just I recognize that face, and I associate it with the Protoss player I saw playing earlier. I would assume probably from my watching him play in the previous round in Code A. But regardless, Yoda has a lot of experience in this matchup, a lot more experience overall. I would put him as the favorite here, but this is a time where Terrans are struggling against Protoss in the late game. If Trust can get there, it's going to be a pretty good matchup for him, I feel, especially with these maps. And Icarus right now is a really scary map for Terrans because Protoss have so many cool, different all-in builds on that map.
Yeah, if he comes to that map, that's going to be very interesting to see how that match develops. But we are starting things with Cloud Kingdom now. We're just waiting for Yoda to join the lobby, and then we can go, because currently Trust is also just waiting for him. And so far, I mean, let's be honest for a second, in the up and downs, Casper has been destroyed. The guys didn't have a chance. Not a single Casper player advanced. They have been obliterated. It was crazy. I never expected it to be this
so
hard.
one-sided, yeah.
Exactly. But now in Code A, they're doing a really good job, especially in the first round. We had a lot of the Casper players advance. I think a fairly even ratio between Casper and the ESF players. It's really cool to see a bit of new blood in the league, and them just making another disappearance. Later on, we even have Flash again. I really want to see if Flash is able to get into Codes this time.
Yeah, he may be able to do it. It's obviously really important for him as he considers himself to be basically the best player in StarCraft 1, and for him not to be able to be in the Premier League for StarCraft 2 is a little bit disappointing, so he wants to get that. Let's go into game number 1, though, between Trust and Yoda. Protoss versus Terran on Cloud Kingdom here at the GSL Code with Powder and Wolf.